Today I'm going to show you a keto low-carb way to make biscuits and gravy. Hey again, guys. Well, today I am super excited to share a recipe with you that I found for biscuits and gravy that are keto and low carb. We love biscuits and gravy, and that's one thing you can really not have and stay low carb when making regular biscuits and gravy. I found this cookbook on Amazon. It's called Southern Keto. I'll leave a link down below. I found it and purchased this off of there. So if you want to check it out, it has a lot of really good keto recipes, like comfort food. We've made these before because I wanted to try it before, of course, filming a video, and they turned out so good. I think that you all will really enjoy it. You can't even tell that they're low carb, and I actually think they're better than regular biscuits and gravy. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So again, Southern Keto, check it out. It's got some really good recipes, and I will be definitely making some more videos on some recipes out of here that we've made.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. I paid for this with my own money. So let's take a look at the ingredients you're going to need to make this. You're gonna need sour cream, almond flour, baking powder, salt, pepper, 2 large eggs, butter, a pound of sausage, xanthan gum, and heavy whipping cream. That's another thing I like about this recipe is it doesn't take a whole lot of ingredients, and it's super easy to make. We're gonna start by making the biscuits. These are called drop biscuits. I'm gonna get everything measured out and I'll show you how we're gonna make those. So I've got all of our ingredients measured out that we're going to need for the biscuits, so let's get started on making those. We're going to start by mixing our dry ingredients. I've measured out 1.5 cups of almond flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we're just going to put all of our dry ingredients into a bowl, and we're going to whisk those together until they're blended as well as we can get them. And using a whisk kind of helps too to kind of break up any clumps that you may have in your almond flour. You want to use a super fine blanched almond flour. You can find almond flour at any kind of Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. I've even seen it being carried at some Walmarts as well in the baking section, kind of where they have the flour. So I've got my dry ingredients well combined. Now I'm going to take a separate bowl and I'm going to mix our wet ingredients. What we need for our wet ingredients, we're going to use 1/4 cup of sour cream. And you want to use a full fat sour cream. You do not need to use a light sour cream because the good fats is what your body is going to burn. You then need 2 tablespoons of salted butter. You want it melted but not hot. And then lastly, for our wet ingredients, we're going to use 2 large eggs. Once you have your wet ingredients, you're just going to take your whisk again and you're going to whisk all of those together until they're nice and blended and kind of a smooth consistency. As I'm mixing this all together, I do have my oven preheating to 400 degrees. So I've got our wet ingredients pretty well mixed together in a smooth consistency. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take our wet ingredients and combine them with our dry ingredients. So I'm just gonna pour this in. And you see there's still some lumps in there in the wet ingredients, but that's okay. We're gonna get it all stirred and combined with the dry ingredients anyway. So once you've got that in, we're just gonna stir this, continue to mix it until it gets to a dough-like consistency. Now I've got my dough mixture all well blended. As you can see, it's a little lumpy, but that's okay. biscuits aren't perfectly smooth. Once you have your wet and dry ingredients well mixed together, we're going to want to let this sit for 5 minutes before we form our biscuits. So while I'm letting this sit, I'm going to get my baking pan all ready to go, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Well, our 5 minutes is up, so now it's time to form our biscuits. What I've done is I've taken our cookie sheet, which is what I use to bake with because it fits best in our convection oven, and I've lined it with parchment paper. We're gonna take the biscuits and we're gonna drop them onto the cookie sheet. That's why this is called drop biscuits. The recipe says it makes 10 biscuits. It really all depends on how big you make your biscuits. I think the last time I made it, it came out to be about 8 biscuits. So let's get our biscuits put on the pan. What I do is I'm just gonna take some heaping tablespoons and drop them onto the pan. And they don't have to look all pretty because again, these are drop biscuits. They're not gonna be all uniform and conformed like a biscuit you make out of a can. And again, I'm not worried about if it makes 10 total biscuits. We're just gonna make whatever we get out of this. And you want them to be an inch or so apart from each other on the pan so that when they bake, they don't bake together. And this dough, it's a little sticky, but it's not too bad. You could put some cooking oil on your finger if you wanted, but I find it's not that messy, so I don't even bother. Let's see, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it's gonna make about 8 biscuits again for me.
We like big biscuits.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the biscuits a little bit smaller and get 10, but I mean, again, I don't mind having just the 8 biscuits. All right, so I've got all of our biscuits laid out on the pan. It yielded me about 8 biscuits. If I made them a little smaller, I could have stretched it out to 10, which is what the recipe says it makes. I'm not worried about that. As long as we have an even amount, we're good. And I think doing the 8 biscuits makes them a good size as well. Our oven isn't quite heated up yet, so as soon as that gets done preheating, we'll pop these in the oven. All right, guys, our oven just beeped that it is preheated and ready for us to add our biscuits. So let's get these babies in there. And again, you're gonna bake these in a 400-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes. I'm gonna let these cook, and once they're done, we're gonna take them out to cool. While they're cooling, we'll come back and we'll make the sausage gravy. As well, our oven just beeped, so our biscuits are ready to pull out. Let's get those out of the oven. Now, like I said, you want to cook them at 400 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes until they're a golden brown color. Our oven really doesn't get them golden brown. They do start getting golden brown on the bottom like you see there, but you want them to be a firm texture, not real hard, but see how that's kind of squishy? So I know that those are done. Now, while these are cooling, let's go ahead and make our sausage gravy. Let me show you the ingredients you're gonna need for the gravy. You're gonna need a pound of sausage of your choice. I've just got this pork sausage with sage, 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, 3/4 cup of water, salt and pepper to taste, and then you're gonna need a 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. For those of you that don't know what xanthan gum is, because I didn't know what it was until I started researching keto and low carb recipes, but what it is it's basically a thickening agent. You can use it in gravies, things like that, in place of, say, flour or cornstarch. That's what the use is for that and why we're using it for the gravy. And this you can also find at like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. I think that's where I found this. I don't know if Walmart's carry it. I haven't looked, but it is possible because I have noticed Walmart, they are getting a lot of lower carb options like the almond flour, coconut flour, things like that. The first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna cook our sausage. So basically we're just gonna brown this till it's cooked through. So let's get that started. All right, guys, so our sausage is nice and browned and cooked all the way through. So now it's time to add our other ingredients. Before we do that, we want to turn our burner down to low. First thing I'm going to add is my 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. You don't have to drain your sausage. There's not that much grease in there, and the little bit that is just going to give the gravy a good flavor. Next, I'm going to add my 3/4 cup of water. And lastly, I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of my xanthan gum, which is going to be our thickening agent. Now all we're going to do is we're going to mix this all together and continue stirring as it thickens up. It probably will take about 10 minutes or so to thicken. You can let it thicken to the consistency that you like. If it does get too thick, you can just add some water to thin it out, like 1/2 teaspoon at a time, and go from there. So let me get to cooking this, and I'll show you it once it's almost ready. So it's been about 5 minutes and my gravy is starting to thicken up. Before it gets as thick as I like it, I'm going to go ahead and season it with salt and pepper. Now you can season it to your liking, as much or as little as you want. So it's really just season it to taste. Once I have it seasoned, I'm just going to continue stirring and letting it thicken up. Our gravy is nice and thickened up to the consistency that we like. Again, if you're doing this and you get it too thick, you can thin it out by adding a little bit of water, about 1/2 teaspoon at a time, and just working that in. This has turned out really good. So let me get this plated up and we'll show you what it looks like. There you have it, guys. A keto biscuits and gravy. It is so easy and so good. You would not be even able to tell that this is not traditional biscuits and gravy. So even if you're eating keto and say your spouse or significant other or family members aren't eating keto or low carb, they're gonna love this recipe too. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will link the cookbook below if you want to check it out. I think it's a really great cookbook. It has a lot of great options that I'll be doing more videos on. If you try this, come back and let me know how you liked it. We are going to enjoy our biscuits and gravy now. Thank you guys as always for watching and subscribing.
Until our next video.
Peace, love, and expediting.
You're not getting none. Neither are you. All right.